I'm a really big proponent of meditation, as I think most of you know. And I've been sitting for a long time, for years now, which is cool. And I've discovered this app called Waking Up. One of my friends gifted it to me, and it's really kind of just bringing me back to what I would consider a little bit of the basics of meditation. And we were doing one this morning where, which I don't know why you would want to do this, but it was a good exercise where you conjure up a negative emotion. So you and really the practice was around noticing the connection between thoughts and emotions. So you would think of something that agitates you, and then notice the emotion, and then come back to the breath and center yourself and notice those emotions disappear. And it was a really uncomfortable but powerful practice this morning that I wanted to share. And then I picked up this book, which I've been really into, Meditations from the Mat, which has a bunch of different things to contemplate around the Yoga Sutras. And I wanted to read a little bit to you because it kind of ties in with this idea of thoughts attached to emotions. So learning that we can trust the creative energy of life itself enables us to relax more and more because we know we don't have to make things happen by force or our will, or of our will. I'll read that again since I stumbled over my words. Learning that we can trust the creative energy of life itself enables us to relax more and more because we know we don't have to make things happen by force of our will. So that was Swami Chaitanya. And it goes on to talk a little bit more about how we can use pranayama and breathing exercises to regulate ourselves. But also this reminder that we are not the doer, we're the channel. So I bring this up in connection to the thing I shared about meditation, because in my constitution, for whatever reason, anxiety comes up a lot in my body. And I know that that's pretty common for a lot of people. And I've been really playing around with how can I work with this as just an energy. And I've noticed that when my brain is habituated to attaching these thoughts around, I'm feeling anxious, I need to do something in order to not feel anxious anymore, it actually fuels the fire of anxiety. So I've been playing around a lot with just relaxing into the feeling, which is challenging with anxiety or lots of feelings. Can I relax into the feeling? And within that, remember that I don't need to do anything. So this is where it gets a little nuanced in the conversation, which is tough on Zoom because I can't hear you back really. But this idea of, we live in a life where we're physically producing things, right? Where the mind is designed to do things, to make the body move, to create stuff, right? But when we get attached to that as our identity, when we start to get these challenging emotions, for me it's anxiety, it could be something different for you. It might be fear or pain or disappointment or whatever, maybe it's joy, right? But when we can remember that really our work, if we have any at all, if we look at it from the perspective of contemplative traditions like yoga, our one job is just paying attention. That's it. Right? And so we can use the breath and the movement of the body and our mindfulness to almost fine tune ourselves like an instrument, where the doing just moves through us, right? And we're just a channel for it. So this is, hopefully this is landing a little bit. So my offering to you today, right? Because it is really kind of weird and nuanced. As we do the practice, can you think about it as something that is just moving through you? Right? I had somebody give me the analogy recently of and I'm going to age myself with this one. Maybe you guys remember when they had those projectors that had the transparent screens and then have the words on it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe where the light would go through and you would see the picture on the projecting screen, right? Can you think of yourself like that transparency? Like things are just moving through you. And the one job that you have, if you have to have one, is to pay attention to what's moving through, right? So as we're moving the body, as we're practicing with the breath, can you just notice feelings and thoughts moving through you? Can you just notice that your body moves through this beautiful network of neurons and synapses going through you, right? Where this is the vessel, this is the channel, and that we are just the channeling that's going through that. Okay. I think that's enough of that. All right. And so, you know, like inevitably we have the aches and the pains, right? Or I got tender wrists and a psoas is talking to us or whatnot. And can you use this practice to lessen your identity to it and kind of give yourself some space between the sensation and what we're going to do about the sensation? Okay. With that in mind, we'll start with our centering practice. So come to a seated shape if that works in your body. And if not, you know, if your inclination is to be reclined, then go ahead and recline. And then find a way to pull your attention inward. So you might close your eyes or soften your gaze. Right? And we started the practice when we started contemplating these things, but can we dive a little bit deeper now and just notice what there is to notice through sensation in the body? So you might move and wiggle a little bit to feel aligned and centered in your body, in this container of yourself. And if you're noticing that the mind is quite active today, which it does sometimes, right? Maybe bring your attention to your breathing. Get curious about where you initially notice your breath. So is that through the nasal passages, the movement of the rib cage, the belly, whatever, you know? Can you let go of needing to do anything? Settling into this wisdom that you are simply the spaciousness in which sensation, thought, emotion, all kinds of other phenomenon arise and fall. You are the spaciousness in which the thoughts arise and dissipate, where the breath moves, where emotions come and go. And within that spaciousness is this innate wisdom, this knowing that there really is nothing to do. And within this innate wisdom of knowing there is nothing to do, maybe we approach this practice with a little bit of playfulness. I'm just trying stuff out. So from this vantage point, I invite you to start to deepen your breath. Just notice how it feels for you to make your inhale a little bit longer and the exhale a little bit more juicy. And as you inhale, maybe feel the torso broaden, the pelvis broaden, the shoulders soften. And as you exhale, feeling the lift of the pelvic floor, the leg bones being a little bit heavier. Breathing in spaciousness and openness. And allowing whatever needs to leave you now to go on your exhale. Back and forth. Inhale and exhale. From this place of openness and curiosity, notice sensation that maybe are arising in the body. And it's natural to start with what's loudest, right? So it might be achy knees or, tension in the neck or whatever else. And by all means, bear witness to these sensations, honor them, and then see if you can go a little bit deeper, a little more subtle in the sensations, feeling maybe the beating of your heart, or the sensation of your skin against your clothes. Or maybe the sensation of the aliveness in your tissues, in your skin and your bones and your muscles. Noticing how it's all there, rising and falling. Take a couple more moments just exploring this landscape. And then allow the sound of the harmonium to gently bring you back to the external landscape. Notice how the sound shifts your experience. Then let's take another clearing breath together, and then if you want to join, we'll tune in by chanting Om. Okay, so take a deep breath in through the nose, fill your torso up, open your mouth, exhale. And then if you'd like to join, take a deep breath in to chant Om. Okay, if your eyes are closed, please open them. I'm gonna start to find some movement in the body. We're gonna stay seated a little bit longer, so adjust however you need to so that you feel comfortable. All right. So let's start by bringing our attention to the pelvis, right? So you might feel the sits bones, these bony bits at your butt, right? Connected to a cushion. But then also, can you dive in a little bit deeper into the pelvis with your mind's eye and notice your pubic bone? And sometimes it's actually helpful to put a hand there just so you have a little bit of more of a map in your mind of where this structure is in your body, right? And notice how where it is in relationship to the sitting bones. And then with your mind's eye, bring your attention to your sits bones, and then right in between and up, there's your tailbone, right? So noticing how this creates like a bowl, like a little space for the base of your body, your torso. And within that space, in between the sits bones, the pubic bone, and the tailbone, you have this pelvic floor. It's this beautiful muscle that broadens on the inhale, and as you exhale, it will lift gently, right? So I want you to feel this container that you have within yourself that holds all your guts, that keeps you nice and stable. Let the leg bones be relaxed, let the leg muscles be relaxed. And then start to bring your attention to the back of the pelvis. So bring your mind's eye to your tailbone and then start to draw a line with your mind up the center of your pelvis. So we're moving through the sacrum and then you'll find your spine. And as you do, find a little bit of a sway from side to side. So we're really anchored through the sitting bones and the pubic bone and the tailbone, and then start to feel how your spine likes to move from side to side. Some more than others, right? But there is some movement. And then feel this movement go up until you're like in the rib cage, right? And then you keep moving up as you sway the spine from side to side, and you'll feel your shoulder blades. And we keep going up, 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 up. So now we're through the shoulder girdle. You've got these beautiful bones that rest on top of the rib cage and around the spine, all the way up till you get to the skull. And then can you notice how the skull sways on top of the spine? This is your axis joint. And from that place, can you allow the jaw hinge to soften a bit? So the tongue will soften, the jaw will maybe drop down away from the top teeth a little bit here. And just let this gentle movement happen naturally. All right, and then come to center. So you can keep this in like the energy of the sway, of the openness, but come to a little bit more of a still shape here. Soften the shoulders, take an exhale. And then we'll inhale and swoop the arms out and up. Keep the tops of the shoulders soft here, please. But feel the rib cage lift away from the pelvis. And then as you exhale, twist to the right and let the arms drift down. So they might land with the right hand behind you, the left hand on your thigh. And then as you find your landing point here, inhale again, find a little more length through the side body. And exhale, maybe the chin reaches back behind you over that right shoulder. Little bit of a contraction in the abdominal wall here, so you feel nice and centered and held in. And then inhale, come back through center and reach the fingertips up over your head. Lift, lift, lift through the side body. And then exhale, twist to the left. So the right hand might land on the thigh, left fingertips behind you. They might be tented. Then inhale again, find a little more lift in between the rib cage and the pelvis. Exhale, lift your pelvic floor, contract your abdominal wall, so all the way around the torso. And maybe look back behind you if that feels safe. Come up through center, reach your fingertips up overhead. And then let's exhale and bend the elbows into cactus arms. And then come back to this wiggle a little bit more. So feeling the pelvis anchored down, feeling the rib cage move, the spine move. And then come to center with the spine. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades. Lift your pelvic floor just a little bit as you open the chest. And then exhale, round your upper back and pull your forearms towards each other. They might touch, they might not. And maybe tuck your chin if that feels safe. Inhale, press the arms out to the side, squeeze your shoulder blades, open your chest. You'll feel the pelvis tilt a little bit here too. And then exhale, round the upper back, bring the forearms towards each other, round the upper, tuck your chin. 2 more times. Inhale, open up. Big movement. Feel the spaciousness under the armpits. Exhale, round the upper back. Long through the back of the neck. 1 more time. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round your upper back. Press your forearms together. Really hollow out the belly. All right. Inhale, open up. But come right to center so the elbows are lined up with the shoulders. Soften the shoulder blades down the back body like your neck is growing longer. Then rotate your palms out to the side. Spread your fingers as wide as feels okay and start to press your hands out. So the trajectory is straightening the elbows, but you may not, okay? They may not go all the way. Slide your shoulder blades down your back even more. And now feel this energy coming from the center of your heart out through the palms of your hands. Spread wide here. Okay, if you're starting to feel like pins and needles in the hands, which sometimes can happen, I want you to soften the bend of the elbows a little bit more, but keep pressing out through the palms. Take 1 more deep breath in. And as you exhale, let the hands drift down the sides of the body. Soften, soften, soften. Okay. Visualize that you have balloons in your shoulder girdles. So like the top of the balloons are right underneath the bony bits on the tops of the shoulders. And as you inhale, feel those balloons expand in all directions. So the front and the back and the top as you lift your shoulders up towards your ears. And then as you exhale, those balloons softly deflate as the shoulders come down away from the ears. So we're gonna do this a few times. Inhale, feel the balloons puff up in all directions as you lift your shoulders up. And then exhale, feel them soften as the shoulders come down. So feeling this in all the dimensions of your body, the front, the back, the tops, the bottoms. That's so good, you guys. 2 more like that. Inhale. Exhale. So there's a sense of lightness to this movement and an expansion. Lovely. Okay, come back to center. Come back to this little wiggle and sway. And then come to stillness. If you have your legs crossed, please switch the cross of your legs. If you're in some other shape, then stay where you're at. Or do a little bit of a wiggle as we do just a little bit more in the seated shape, okay? Hands are by the sides of the body, just like we did before. Inhale, float your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Maybe you feel a little more openness in the shoulders. Exhale, twist to the right. Find that twist again here. So right hand behind you, left hand on your thigh. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Strong belly. Exhale, contract your belly muscles. Maybe a little more than you did the first time. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, twist, other side. Inhale, find length. Exhale, maybe look over that shoulder a little more. Lift your pelvic floor. Inhale, come back through center. This time, tops of the shoulders are soft, but press your palms together and bring your hands down to heart center. But think like chicken wings or like, you know, like da-da-da-da, right? So bring the hands down to heart center and the elbows are flared out quite a bit and you're pressing your palms together. Now, as you do this, a lot of times the shoulders will start to bunch up towards your ears. Can you stay soft there? And glue your shoulder blades together and down. So you're still really broad here. And again, the energy, though you're pressing your palms together, is out from the heart space through the elbows. Keeping this shape as best you can. Let's just see how it feels to start to press the fingertips with the palms pressing together forward, away from you. And just see how far they want to go. And then come back up through center. And they probably may not go very far in the other direction, like you're trying to point your fingertips towards your body. And we'll do this a few times. Notice if you're clenching anywhere, right? I was. Can you maybe breathe into your low belly? As we just wake up the forearms a little bit. All right, come back to center, please. Keep the pressure diligently in the hands and then start to roll your fingers down till the backs of the hands are pressing to each other. Elbows are still flared out. And then we'll do the same thing. So we're going to start to rotate the fingertips forward. And then towards our body. Oh my, this is an interesting feeling, huh? And then forward. And then towards the body. Okay, and then come back to center, let it go, and shake the hands and arms out. Shake, shake, shake. You're flicking water off your fingertips, but it moves all the way up to the shoulders, and maybe even get them involved. So like shrug the shoulders up and down, and take a clearing breath. Yeah. And then come to stillness. Rest the backs of your hands on your lap with the palms facing up. And breathe. Notice how you feel. Awesome. Okay. Let's come out of this shape and into a tabletop position. Right? And if wrists are tender, you can use the forearm here, forearm variation, right? Where the forearms are on the floor or on a block, right? But maybe for a moment, if it's tolerable, do this with your hands on the floor just to stretch a little bit into the palms and the forearms, okay? You can come off in just a second, but I want you to start to work on opening the plantar the palmar fascia, the palms of the hands and the forearms just a bit here. So you can get some of the weight off of the wrists by lifting your low belly. So you've got this contraction going on. It's holding your spine where it's at and using your shoulders. So squeeze your shoulder blades together and down your back body. Think also of the triceps wrapping back. Now, we won't stay here for too long, but just for a moment, I want you to press down a little bit more into your pinky and your thumbs. And it's like you're trying to squeeze them towards each other. And you'll probably feel the palms lift a little bit here. So this is sometimes really helpful for creating a little bit of space in that carpal tunnel area, right? Where some of us get some tricky stuff. So I want you to breathe with this just for one more moment. Good. Okay, soften the tops of the feet into the mat. Shift your hips back and come into child's pose. Come off of the wrists. But if you can, keep the arms really long and lift your armpits. So think about hollowing the armpits out. You'll think about the biceps wrapping up towards the ceiling. And there's no weight on the hands, but I want you to press the forearms down and back. So you're really tractioning through the shoulders. Sink your hips back. Take a deep breath in and out. Relax the arms and start to walk your hands underneath your shoulders and roll yourself up into hero's pose. So hips are over your heels. We'll stay here just for a second. Swoop your arms out and up as you come to your knees. Hook your toes and bring your hands down to heart center. So if this is a bit much on the knees, please bring cushions under your knees. We'll be here just for a second, okay? Do a little bit of work here. I'm going to ask you to keep the toes hooked if that works for you. Now, hands are at heart center, chest is open. Wrap your glutes down the backs of your legs. So think about the tailbone kind of tucking or the pubic bone coming up towards your low ribs. Like you're clenching your bum cheeks just a little bit here. And then keeping a lift in the pelvic floor and the chest nice and open. Let's see how far back it feels safe to lean back. So we want to keep the back really straight. And then come back forward. So we're going to sway a little bit forward and back. Yeah, so the back is nice and straight. Core is engaged, right? So that think the abdominal sheath, like you have a corset around your torso as you rock back and forth. Keep those glutes nice and fired, please. Keep the shoulders soft. Keep the throat relaxed. Good morning, thighs and hips. Okay, one more sway back and forth. Okay, come back to center, and as you do, swoop your arms out and up overhead. And then bring your hips over your heels again. Hands come to heart center. And we're gonna do this really, I think this is kind of a fun movement. I want you to, like you're high-fiving something in front of you as you press forward, come down onto your hands, and then lower down onto your belly. So just a fun little vinyasa thing here. Lift the right leg up, back, and down. Lift the left leg up, back, and down. Keep the hands under the shoulders, squeeze your shoulder blades, lift your chest forward and up, come into cobra. And then exhale, release. Hook your toes and press yourself up to tabletop position. Take an exhale, round your spine into a cat back. Inhale, press your chest forward and up as you come into extension in your cow. And one more time, exhale, round your spine, cat back. Inhale to extension. Exhale to neutral. Wrap your triceps back so you're nice and engaged through the shoulder girdle. Keep the toes hooked and then lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog, please. Come back to this visualization of the bottom of the pelvis. So visualize where your sitting bones are, your pubic bone and your tailbone. And then on your next inhale, visualize those bony landmarks expanding, so separating a bit as your pelvic floor broadens. And then as you exhale, lift your pelvic floor, visualize those bones coming closer together, and then bend your knees and look forward towards the front of your mat. Keep that engagement as you step both of your feet forward and come to a fold at the front of your mat. So if you can hold the exhale, please do. Feet are about hips width apart. And inhale, slide your hands up your thighs, coming into a halfway lift. Feel those bony landmarks, the pelvis, right? So the pubic bone, the sits bones, and the tailbone expanding. And then as you exhale, start to fold forward and feel the pelvic floor lift. So at this point, you might have a block to bring the floor a little closer to you if that feels more supportive. So hands are either on the floor or on a block here. And then I want you to start to steer your right shoulder up towards the ceiling as you plug down into the right foot a little bit more and bend into the left knee. We're not going to lift the hands just yet. I want you to think more about this, just coming into the hip here a bit. And then exhale, come out of that twist. And then plug down into the left foot, steer your left shoulder up just a little bit. So it's just the beginning of this movement, bending into the right knee. Exhale, come down. And then let's bring our hands up into our hip creases And press your fingers deep into your hip creases, sending your bum back and deepening the hinge of that hip joint. Press the heels down and away from each other till you feel the outer hips wake up. Lift your pelvic floor, and with a long spine, lift yourself up to standing. Strong through the bum. Good. Bring the arms out to the side and up overhead. Exhale your hands down your center line and to the side of the body. Find that sway like we did seated, but now get the ankle joints and the knees and the hips involved. So finding this beautiful movement that the body is designed to do. And then as best you can, come to stillness. And as you experience your body, as you experience sensations and movement and thoughts and feelings, come back to this meditation just for a moment of I am the spaciousness in which all of these arise and fall, where all of these feelings, sensations come and go. And notice if that shifts the way you relate to this experience. Beautiful. Take an exhale, please. Down through the feet. Inhale, swoop your arms out and up overhead, please. Exhale, forward fold. Maybe the hands are on a block, maybe they're on the floor. Inhale to a halfway lift. Hands can be on the floor, a block, or the shins. And this time, as you exhale, step your right foot back and bring your right knee down to the floor. Again, you might support yourself here with a blanket under the knee. And by all means, bring the block with you if you need it. And then we'll walk ourselves upright. So the trajectory here is right angles, or right angles if we can get it right. So a right-ish angle with the left knee and the left. Feel the skull, the shoulder blades, and the sacrum lined up here. Relax the arms down the sides of the body. Feel a little bit of a pull of the inner thighs towards each other and feel that lift of the pelvic floor. And now reach your arms forward. And as you do this, pull the heads of the arm bones back into their shoulder girdle. Rotate your palms out, and so your fingertips are pointing kind of down towards the floor. As you do this gesture, you might have to bend the elbows a little bit here. That's okay. So kind of like we did in the beginning where we were spreading our fingers out to the side. Now we're in front of ourselves here. Okay? So the tops of the shoulders are soft. Take an inhale, lift the rib cage away from the pelvis, and as you exhale, start to side stretch to the left. This is a weird one, I know. Just go with it, okay? So keep the hands spread really wide here. And then keeping this like little bit of a C curve with the spine, start to move your hands in a diagonal line in front of you, like you're drawing this diagonal line right in your vision here. So we're kind of working into the obliques, and this also can get into the psoas as well as the forearms in an interesting way. Okay, yeah, come back to center. So the hands are still in front of us. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, interlace your fingers behind your head. So press the skull back into your hands and feel the shoulder blades slide down the back. Pull your pubic bone up towards your low ribs as you inhale and press your chest forward and up. Maybe you lean back a bit here. And then as you exhale, round your upper back and pull your elbows towards one another as you tuck your chin. Keep pulling the pubic bone up towards your low ribs. Inhale, come all the way back up, and maybe you lean back into that heart opener. Let the elbows really flare open if you can. Exhale, round the upper back. Pull your pelvic floor up. 2 more, please. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. 1 more. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. Inhale, open up. Reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull the arms back behind you and interlace your fingers. So if that doesn't feel accessible to you, grab opposite forearms or fists at the low back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and up. And then keeping this tuck of the pelvis, so keep pulling the pubic bone up towards the low ribs. Maybe shift your weight forward just a little bit. So we're not like dipping into the hips here. We're really just kind of deepening that stretch in the right front thigh. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, come back to center. Let the arms come down to the sides. Roll your shoulders a couple of times. And then nothing fancy about it. Bring the hands down to the floor to blocks. Root your hands down onto the floor block. Step your left knee back so you're in a tabletop position. Whew, find a cat-cow. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale, find extension. Exhale, shift your hips back to child's pose. Inhale, slide your hands underneath your shoulders and rise yourself up to heroes. And then swoop your arms out and up as you come into that kneeling posture again. Tuck your toes. Hands come down to heart center. So we're going to revisit this shape a few times today, okay? So keep this nice long line through the torso as you gently lean back just a bit here, and then forward, and then lean back, and then forward. One more time, lean back, come to center. Lower your hips down over your heels. Maybe you keep the toes curled. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. And then this fun thing again, so you're gonna press your hands forward as you leap forward. Bring your hands to the floor. Good. Lower yourself down into your belly. Lift your right leg up, pull it back and down. Lift your left leg up, pull it back and down. Long through the hips here. Anchor your pubic bone down. Inhale, lift your chest to a cobra. Exhale, release. Hook your toes, press yourself up to tabletop. Find that engagement in the shoulders. Wrap the triceps back, glue the shoulder blades to the back body, and then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bring your attention to your feet for a moment, please, and pedal your heels. Getting really curious about where you feel this in the feet and the ankles. Come back to stillness in your down dog, please. We're going to take one of those pelvic breaths. So bring your awareness to the bottom of your pelvis. Find your sits bones, your pubic bone, and your tailbone with your mind's eye. And as you inhale, feel them expand apart as your pelvic floor expands. Exhale, feel them come a little bit closer to each other as you lift your pelvic floor. Bring the gaze forward, bend your knees. Keep the exhale if you can as you walk your feet forward and come to a fold at the front of your mat again. Maybe you grab your block for support. Find a halfway lift on your inhale and a fold on your exhale. And we'll come to that little half twist that we did before, okay? So steer the right shoulder and the right hip up towards the ceiling. You'll bend into the left knee just a little bit. You might look over the right shoulder. Come back to center. Steer the left shoulder, the left hip up towards the ceiling. Bend into the right knee. Come back to center. Roll the weight back into the heels a little bit more. Bring your fingers into your hip creases and press your hips back. Deepen that hinge. Squeeze the shoulder blades down the back body, really broad through the chest, and then up we come to stand. So root down through the heels and the bum. Arms come out and up overhead. Palms touch, hands come down your center line, and then the side of the body. Find your natural movement in this structure of your body. And as you do this, right, come back to this concept, this meditation. I am the spaciousness in which all of this is arising. Kind of cool. Okay. And then we'll exhale together, root down through the fingertips, the feet. Inhale, swoop the arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Support yourself as you go. Bend your knees as much as you need to, please. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step the left foot back. Bring the left knee down. We find the low lunge. Okay? Then when you're ready, we'll walk ourselves upright. I tend to have the back toes hooked, but please do what works best for you in that shape. Maybe you put a blanket under the left knee as well. Okay, find your alignment here. So feel the shape of the rib cage and the shoulders resting over the pelvis through the spine. All right, and then here comes this weird stretch. So maybe I show it to you this direction. It might be more helpful. Okay, so you're gonna reach your hands forward. And then I want you to soften through the sides of the neck and the tops of the shoulders. So pull the heads of the arm bones back and down. Then rotate your fingertips down with your palms forward. Now this can be a challenging action for a lot of us because we do a lot of this stuff, right? So bend your elbows a bit if you need to, and feel the shoulder blades glue to the back body. That will help, okay? Inner thighs are pulling towards each other. And then feel the space between the bottoms of the ribs and the tops of your pelvis. Feel that lengthen as you inhale, lift. And then create like a C curve with your spine as you side stretch to the right. Okay. Breathe into this. And then it's kind of like, you know, you're at this angle and then you're rotating your rib cage around your spine. So just start to draw this diagonal line with the arms. It's a little bit like scrubbing stuff out, like deep in the hips and the belly. Good. Come back to center, please. Inhale, reach your fingertips up overhead. Exhale, bring your fingertips behind your skull. Butterfly the elbows out. Press the back of the head into the hands a bit here. Pull your inner thighs together and pull your pubic bone up towards your low ribs. Inhale, press the chest forward and up. Flare the elbows out, maybe even a little bit more. And then exhale, cinch everything in as you round your upper back, tuck your chin, elbows come towards each other. Inhale, open up. Open, open, open through the chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. 2 more, please. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. 1 more. Inhale, open up. Exhale, round. Good. Inhale, open up. Come to neutral. Reach the fingertips up overhead. Then pull the hands back behind you so we've got this big action through the shoulder joint here as the hands meet behind your back. You might interlace fingers, grab forearms, or press into the low back with your hands. Either way, the shoulder blades squeeze together and down, and we open up the chest, maybe even a little bit more. So bring your attention to that spot right below your collarbones, like you're creating spaciousness in that area from the sternum, the center of the chest, out to the shoulder points. Good, then go ahead and release that arm bind. Roll the shoulders a few times. And then however you want to get there, hands will come down to the floor or blocks. And then we step the right knee back underneath us. So we're in our tabletop. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, extend the spine. So press the chest forward and up. Exhale, press yourself back into child's pose, please. Take a deep breath here. Feel the back body expand. Exhale, let it go. Then inhale, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Roll yourself up over your heels. And then come on up to your knees. Hook your toes. Bring your hands down to heart center. Again, feel the pelvis tilt. So the tailbone tucks. You'll use the glutes to wrap down. As the pubic bone comes up, the pelvic floor is gently lifted. But everything from like the belly button up is just totally chill, okay? And then you'll just slowly lean back and forward a few times. And this does not need to be a big movement, right? If you're feeling pressure or discomfort in knees or low back, then it's just a little movement. It might be so much that you're just thinking about it. Okay, 1 more time, please. Then we come back to center. Inhale, swoop the arms out and up. Exhale, hips over heels with either toes tucked or not. Take an inhale. Exhale like you're high-fiving the air, and then down you come onto your hands and lower yourself down to your belly. Lift your right leg up, back and down. Lift your left leg up, back and down. Root the tailbone, anchor the pubic bone, and inhale, lift the chest, broaden through the collarbones as you lift yourself up into cobra. And then exhale, release. Hook your toes, press yourself up to tabletop. Find that engagement in your shoulder girdle, right? So bend the elbows out to the side a little bit, wrap the triceps back, feel the shoulder blades glue to the back body, press down into your finger pads, and then lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog, please. Can you release the weight of your skull to gravity? Okay. Take a deep breath in, feel your pelvic floor broaden. Exhale, feel it gently lift as you bend your knees and look forward. End of your exhale, walk your feet to your hands and come to a fold at the front of your mat. Maybe you grab your block. Inhale, find your halfway lift. Feel the low back broaden as you inhale. Exhale to fold. One more time with that foldy twist. So steer the right shoulder, the right hip up towards the ceiling as you bend into the left knee. Maybe you look up. Exhale, come on down. Inhale, steer the left shoulder, the left hip up towards the ceiling. Maybe you look up over that left shoulder. Exhale, come on down. Bring your fingers, hook them into your hip creases. Roll the weight back into the heels. Press your heels down and apart. Feel the outer hips wake up. Hollow out your low belly and then up we come to stand. Feel the glutes wrap down. Arms come out and up overhead. Palms touch. Hands come down your center line and then the side of the body. Find your sway. I am the spaciousness in which all of this arises and falls. Okay, let's step into a wide leg stance. We'll start with the feet parallel-ish, and then we'll bring our hands right where the thighs meet the pelvis, so that hip crease spot right where we forward fold. And I like to dig, kind of find my hip flexors and dig right into that spot, and then start to sway your hips from side to side. And I want you to notice what's going on in the inner thighs, the inner knee when you do this movement. There's a lot of attachment points between those two spaces, and sometimes this will get into that, okay? And then can you get a little more muscular with the action? So as you tilt your hip to the right, can you feel the muscles on the right side of the body kind of cinch in like a side crunch? And then as you tilt your hip to the left, can you feel all those muscles on the side of the left body crunching in to engage that movement? And just side to side a few times. Like we're doing sweet 80s dance moves. Okay, just a few more times. Okay, and then start to stir the pelvis in a circle in one direction. Make sure you're breathing, please. And then the other direction. And my new favorite challenge is to try to do figure eights with my pelvis, which I can barely ever do. So I want you to think about going to the right and then to the side and then, so just in one direction. So we're just trying to get the hip sockets to move in all of their planes of motion. Yeah. Y'all seem better at this than me. Okay, and then other direction. Da, da, da. Good. Okay, come back to center, please. Relax, so let the arms flop. And then we'll slowly and gently start to pivot the toes out so that we're in a goddess stance, a horse stance, right? And you want to make sure that if you bend the knees, which you don't have to if you want to, but you can, right? That they track over the center of your feet. So if you're wanting to build a little bit more heat today, I want you to bend your knees. If you're trying to be a little more softer, then maybe don't, okay? Either way, the feet are pressing down and gently kind of pulling towards each other. So you're really solid through the center line here. Feel the rib cage and all of its spaciousness just resting over the pelvis. Feel the arms relaxing down the sides of the body. And let's actually bring the hands to the backs of the thighs. So the palms will be pressing into the thighs. So no matter if the knees are bent or not, pressing the hands into the thighs into the hands. It's really opening up here. Feel the bottom corners of your scapula, your shoulder blades, gluing to the back body. Notice how that can help to open up the chest a bit here. Breathe. So I want you to play around this. So there's a lot of engagement going on here, muscular engagement. Can you find that sweet spot in your own body here where you're engaged but you're not clenching, right? So you can feel the pelvic floor moving as you breathe. For 3, 2, 1. Inhale, straighten the knees if they're bent, reach the arms out and up. And then exhale again, we're gonna bend into the knees again if you want to. Hands come to heart center. Same kind of idea here. Feel the flesh of the thigh bones rolling back, so the groin is getting a little bit of a stretch here. And press your palms together and flare your elbows out. We did this before, right? But this time, spread your fingers wide. And then just play a little game with yourself. So I'm going to press the pinkies more, and then I'm going to press my ring fingers more, and then my middle finger, my pointer finger, my thumb. So kind of just go back and forth. So like pinky press, ring finger press, middle finger press, pointer finger press, thumb. And then thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Good. Then press as much of your palms together as you can and maybe sink down a little bit more. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, interlace your fingers, press your palms out. Soft through the tops of the shoulders. Inhale, straighten your knees if they're bent, reach your arms up. And then exhale, let it go. Pivot your feet about parallel-ish. Maybe narrow your stance and just shake it out a little bit. Good. And then let's step to the front of our mats again, please. Come to your standing shape with the feet about hips width apart. And find some more of those hip circles in one direction. Notice how this might feel different than when you're in a wide stance. And then the other direction. Good. Come back to center, please. Exhale, root down through the feet and the fingertips. Inhale, reach your arms out and up overhead. Exhale, find your forward fold. Again, maybe you grab a block, maybe you're on the floor with your hands. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands and step back to tabletop position, please. Good. Take an exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin and the tailbone. Inhale, extend the spine. So tailbone looks up, chin looks up. And then on your next exhale, shift yourself back into child's pose, please. Take about 2 breaths here. And as best you can, follow the breath from the beginning of the inhale to the end of the inhale, and the beginning of the exhale to the end of the exhale. Just 2 rounds. Awesome. Slowly bring the hands underneath the shoulders to assist yourself in coming up onto all fours. And then transition to a seated shape, please. Okay, so we're going to want to keep the low back broad. And that nice tilt of the pelvis. So you might take your cushion or your blanket and sit on the edge of it so your pelvis tilts. And we're going to extend the legs in front of us to start with here. Always nice to come to the feet for a moment. Maybe spread the balls of the feet wide, like the pinky toes are rolling back towards your face here. Spine is tall. Good. And then we'll come into some sort of outer hip opener. So there's lots of variations to this shape, okay? So you can come to what's called log stack. So that's where you have the shins stacked on top of each other. So we're going to start with the right side. So you might have the right shin on top of the left. You can come into what's called cow face in the yoga world, right, where you're stacking the knee. Or you can come to an easy seat, right, where the right shin is in front of the left. So either way, we're getting a little bit of an outer hip thing here. And you can modify this a lot. So if you want to do this stacking shape with the knees, but the knees don't quite want to meet, you can bring a block underneath the right knee. Okay, so there's lots of options here. So it's a subtle hip opener. And when you found your sweet spot here, let's float the fingertips up towards the ceiling, please. Soften the tops of the shoulders down. So feel the entirety of this shoulder girdle settle down onto the ribs. Then bend your left elbow and just see where your hand wants to go. Might be the top of the head, might be the back, might be the middle, the upper back, right? And then this right hand, maybe it'll rest on the left elbow, maybe it's on the top of the head. Just see where it wants to go. So if you did this and you notice that the top of the upper back wanted to round forward, then back off a little bit so that you can keep the length of the spine and the chest open here. And think about the elbows flaring back. So we're almost like accessing the armpit area, the outer edges of the chest. And then just see what happens as you stay and breathe in this shape for about 3 breath cycles. Good. Keeping the spine nice and long. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, start to side stretch to the right. So this might be a bit intense, okay? And you want to keep the chest open. It might be a very small movement. Keep that left hip nice and anchored. Then inhale, come back to center and reach your fingertips up towards the ceiling. Then exhale, bring the right hand down to the floor next to you and side stretch to the left. So you might bend that left elbow, kind of kickstand yourself here. And now the right hip is nice and heavy. Notice where your hip points are in space. So they're pointing forward, and I want you to visualize them staying where they're at and feel the rib cage start to rotate around the spine as you twist your chest to the left and then up towards the right. So just a few times, moving very slowly and gently in a diagonal line with the rib cage. Okay, come back to center, reach your fingertips up. And then exhale, bring the hands down in front of you. You might grab a block, okay? And then come into a little baby forward fold. So the hip points are pointing forward, the tailbone is nice and anchored. And maybe you fold a little more, but keep the low back broad. And there's this sense of heaviness to the legs and the hips. Nice. Anchor down through the tailbone, slowly rise yourself upright. And then we'll lean back just a bit so we can uncross the legs. Let them extend in front of you gently, shake them out. Take a moment, notice how you feel. Okay, and then we'll see what the other side wants to do. So the right leg is on the bottom or in the back, right? And then we're either stacking the left shin on top of, in front of, or we're stacking the left knee on top of the right. Take your time to really figure out what's going to be sustainable for you here. Reminder that you can prop that left knee. Good. And then once you've found a good pretzel shape for your legs, find that alignment, right? The rib cage over the pelvis, the crown of the head over the tailbone. And then we'll float the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Tops of the shoulders are soft. Side of the neck is relaxed on both sides. Then we'll bend the right elbow and we will see where that hand wants to go. And then we'll bend the left elbow and see where that hand wants to go. It might grab the right elbow, it might not. Think about the back of the skull pressing back in space. Think about the chest being really open all the way through the armpits. So the elbows are kind of flared out here too. Nice. One more breath here, please. Next, inhale, feel the rib cage lift away from the pelvis. Exhale, gently, slowly start to side stretch to the left. Keep the right hip nice and anchored here. Feel the rib cage expand in all directions as you inhale. Okay, then come up through center. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, right hand comes to the side, and then we side stretch to the right. Keep that left hip nice and anchored. Keep the center of the chest, the sternum pressing forward. And if it's a bit much having this arm extended, this left arm, you can bring it behind the head. You can even rest it on the side of your body. Then bring your attention to your rib cage, like a big barrel, right? And think about it rotating around your spine as you rotate down towards the floor a little bit and then back up towards the ceiling. And it's just a little baby movement as you see what's going on with the side body, the low back, the hips here. Steady breath. Yeah, come back to center, please. Slowly come on upright. And one more time, float the fingertips up towards the ceiling. That tailbone is nice and anchored as we reach the hands forward and come into a gentle fold here. Grab your block if you want it. Keep the low back broad and fold to your depth. Anchoring down through the tailbone. Rise yourself upright again, please. And then lean back a little bit to uncross your legs. Shake them out. Any other wiggles you might want. All right? And then we will grab our blanket and start to make our way down to the floor. So whatever you've got, you can use a towel or whatever. So we're gonna do that reclined heart opener. So you're gonna roll your blanket into a little roll, okay? And then kind of coach you through this. So as you get this rolled up blanket or towel, you want to bring it right to the base of your spine. And I suggest that you enter into this shape with the knees bent to begin with. And we'll stay in this shape for a while. So I want you to take your time to figure out like what's going to work. So like I'm noticing I need some head support. So you might grab a block and bring it underneath the head. You want to feel this blanket in between the shoulder blades as the chest opens, and as you come down, the backs of the hands might come onto the floor, and you play around with the angles that you create with your arms here and see how that feels in your body. So options for the legs. You can keep them bent with the knees kind of in line with the hip points. You might also try heel toeing the feet out to the outer edges of the mat and knocking your knees in towards each other. See how that's a little softer on low back. Or you can come into bound angle where you heel toe the feet together, soles of the feet touch, and the knees butterfly out to the side. So you might want to support the knees with something underneath them, and it'll change the intensity of the stretch in the groin and the hips, how close or far away the feet are to the groin. So I encourage you to take some time, try all the different variations out. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever works best for your body right now. Let it be the one with the least amount of efforting though, yeah? Beautiful. I am the spaciousness in which all of this arises and falls. So we'll begin our transition to Shavasana. Corpse pose, final relaxation. You are welcome to stay in the shape you're in now, if that feels supportive for you. Otherwise, grabbing maybe an extra blanket, making any other physical adjustments that might support you and going maybe a little bit deeper. And as you find yourself in that shape, please take one last clearing breath. Deep inhale through the nose. And a releasing sigh out the mouth. Letting go of effort. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Marupena Samastitaha Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Samastitaha Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Namaste. 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 Namo Namaha. Bring your attention back into your body, please. Start to deepen your breath. And then gently start to find movement in your body. Slowly bringing yourself back into this external world. Being so supportive and gentle with yourself, transitioning up into a seated shape. Feeling your tall spine. Allowing the sound of the harmonium to bring you back a little bit more. To join, we'll close the practice by chanting Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. So please take a deep breath in to chant. Shanti, 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 peace, peace, peace. May you remember your true nature, which is love, trust, and reasonless joy. And may you remember that you are strong and wise. Thank you so much for being you and for sharing it. Namaste.